Good morning, Year 3, and welcome to your next English lesson. Today will be another comprehension lesson where we'll be looking at the next chapter in our book, The Treehouse. We're on to chapter 4. But in today's activity, I won't be giving you as much information before, so I want you to really think about answering the questions independently, trying to work by yourself as much as possible today, remembering the things we've spoken about in our last comprehension lessons. For example, when you write your answer, reading your work and checking your answer makes sense, making sure you haven't missed out a word, making sure the ending of your sentence is correct, and rereading the whole sentence to check that it's clear and you're answering the question that you want. The second point, using the question to begin your answer. I think lots of us are really starting to try to do that now, trying to use some of the words in the question to help start our answers, so that our answers are a full sentence and we're certain that we are answering the question that's being asked. And finally, making sure we punctuate our writing carefully, making sure we start with a capital letter and we end with a full stop, and also remembering capital letters for all of the names in the story. So those are things I'll be really looking for when I mark your work today. And as best you can, try to complete as much of it by yourselves today to be really useful for me to see if we can try to remember to do these things. I will be available on Google Meet today, and it is really useful if you'd like to come and check, if you want to check your answers, check a question with me, or read your answers to me, because that can be really useful as well. So I will be there, and you can pop on for as long as you like during the lesson. So do use Google Meet if you'd like to check anything, or you'd just like to answer a question with me that you get stuck on. I am going to read chapter 4 again. If you would like to read the chapter by yourself and answer the questions, you can print out the activity or write it straight into your book and you can get started straight away. Remember, we're in chapter 4 now. But if you prefer to listen to me read the chapter first, I will read it for you. I'm just going to pause it for a second and move you back slightly. Thank you, Year 3. So we're on to chapter 4. The first chapter, they began building the treehouse and Dad had to leave. In the second chapter, Dad sent them the rope ladder. And in the third chapter, Dad sent them the binoculars. So now we're on to chapter 4. Chapter 4, long distance. In October, there were 2 parcels, one for Sprog and one for William. If you've got all those enemies round you, said Dada's letter, I think you need a stock of food in the treehouse. Inside each parcel was a tall round tin full of toffees wrapped in gold paper. Supply, said William. We mustn't waste them, Sprog. There's a hole in the chestnut tree. We'll keep them there and eat one every day. Then they'll last for ages. Very lee, Sir William, said Sprog, rather sadly. He liked toffees. But he didn't cheat. He put his tin with William's in the hole behind the treehouse cabin, and every day he took out just one gold-wrapped toffee and ate it very slowly. It was William who cheated. He kept thinking of reasons for eating extra toffees. After a week, his tin was empty, and he was looking longingly at Sprog's. Can't you give me one? He said, as they sat in the cabin. Knights always shared their food with each other. Sprog frowned. He wanted to eat his toffees, but his tin was still 3/4 full, and it seemed mean to say no. Okay, just one. He dropped a toffee into William's empty tin, and William grinned and rattled the tin. Thanks, Sir Stephen. Makes a lot of noise, doesn't it? Sprog sucked his own toffee. I saw a programme on television once about how to make telephones out of tins. I remember. William's eyes lit up. Let's do it. Sprog shook his head. I've forgotten how. I haven't. William shook the tin again. You make holes in the tins and join them together with string. I've got some string. Sprog pulled a bundle out of his anorak pocket. I saved it from the rope ladder parcel. William took the neatly rolled string and unwound a bit. This is perfect. It would make a really long telephone right up to the watchtower. But he looked at Sprog's tin. Sprog looked too. He wanted to make a telephone, but they couldn't do it until both the tins were empty. I'll count my toffees, he said. He began to take them out, laying them on 4 in rows of 4 on the wooden floor. The gold paper gleamed in the shadows. 1, 2, 3. But when he put the last toffee down, he had made 8 rows, 32 toffees. That's millions, wailed William. If you eat only one a day, we'll never get our telephone. Sprog looked at the toffees glinting on the wood. They haven't got to be in a tin. William brightened. You could get a bag from Mum, and she could make the holes for us as well. He pushed the tins into Sprog's pockets. Why don't you go and ask her? Slowly and carefully, Sprog climbed down the tree and went into the kitchen. When Mum heard what he wanted, she smiled. I had a telephone like that when I was a little girl. You find a bag for your toffees and I'll make the holes. Sprog put the tins on the kitchen table and went across to the plastic bags. Mum? Mum didn't look up. She was sorting through the toolbox. Sprog pulled out a bag and looked at it. William's finished his toffees. Do you think I ought to share mine with him? Only if you want to, said Mum. She turned the first tin upside down and hammered a skewer hole in the bottom. They're your toffees. Sprog thought about it. Mum made the second hole and held out the tins. There you are. Mind you don't scratch yourselves. Thanks. Sprog put the tins in his pockets. As he took them, he made a decision. He grabbed a second plastic bag and ran back to the tree. As soon as he reached the treehouse, William held out his hands. Come on, let's have the tins. Sprog handed them over. Then he turned round to pick up the toffees. He was going to share them out into 2 bags while William was making the telephone. But there wasn't any toffees there. Sprog blinked. William? Hang on a minute, said William. He was trying to get the string through the bottom of the second tin. Sprog gulped. But my toffees. William pushed one of the tins at him. Who cares about toffees? Take this up to the watchtower so we can test the telephone. Sprog wanted to argue, but he was used to doing what William said. Pushing the tin into his pocket, he began to climb, with the string trailing behind him. It was scratchy up in the watchtower. The chestnuts were growing now, and the prickly cases caught his face. Sprog pushed him out of the way and put the tin to his ear. For a second he couldn't hear anything. Then William pulled the string tight and spoke into the tin at the other end. Sprog heard a jumbled buzzing noise, then words, loud and clear. Get the binoculars, look at the pumpkin and tell me what you see. The pumpkin? Sprog hooked the telephone string over a branch and reached for the binoculars, which were hanging on a branch beside him. Then he scanned the garden, looking for the huge orange shape of the pumpkin. There it was, and underneath, nestling underneath the pumpkin, on its black polythene mat, were dozens of tiny gold lumps. Sprog grabbed the telephone again. My toffees, they're under the pumpkin, there. Then he remembered that wasn't the way knights talked. Taking a deep breath, he started again. Very Lee, Sir William, there is golden treasure under the pumpkin. Putting the telephone to his ear, he heard a chuckle. Go and gather it up, Sir Stephen, said William's voice. Hanging up the binoculars on one branch and the telephone on the next one, Sprog scrambled down to the treehouse and grabbed his plastic bags. Then he hesitated. Do you want some toffees? William gave him a long, lordly stare. I have taken a vow to eat no more toffees until my father returns. You have? Sprog didn't understand, but he knew he could keep his toffees, and he hurried down to pick them up. They fetched the pumpkin too that evening because Mum said it had to be cut before the frosts came. William wouldn't let her cook it. I'm saving it until Dada comes back. I'm going to write and tell him. He and Sprog did the letter together, sitting at the kitchen table. Dear Dada, wrote William. Thank you for the toffees. They were good, and so were the tins. We've cut my pumpkin because the weather's getting bad, but we'll keep it till you come back soon. Love, William. And at the bottom, Sprog wrote, Love from Sprog. Thank you for watching Year 3. If you would like to re-watch the video and maybe go through the questions one at a time, feel free to do that, whatever you think is best. Remember, you can always follow on with your book so you know which page you are on as well. I look forward to seeing your work, and remember, I am on Google Meet if you would like to ask any questions or check any work.